Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. If you think of a destination wedding, what are some of the destinations? Yeah, okay, so the Caribbean be one of them. But Disney, okay. If you're not a huge Disney fan, that's not going to resonate with you. Hawaii has always been one of those beautiful romantic spots to start a new life together. And a lot of times we look at that and say, wow, I don't live in Hawaii. I'd love to get married there. A lot of different pieces of the puzzle to go together to have a wedding. We are going to talk with somebody today who, and I love the name of her company. It's called Simple Kona Beach Weddings. She simplifies everything by taking care of everything you need. And this is for anybody even thinking international. Let's say, and you can hear us and watch us anywhere on the planet. Let's say you're in a country outside of the United States and you're thinking, well, you know what? Hawaii would be beautiful for a wedding. Yeah, she's done those before. Let's bring her in here. Becky Ringler is on the program. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be here today. It should be a lot of fun.
I love your background. I know it's one of those, I know it's your background. It's not the actual background at this moment. It's a photo of your lanai, I believe it is.
Yeah. Yep. The view in the Kona airport's right there.
Ooh.
That's what we see. It's really, I feel very lucky every day to just be able to see this. And as you say, this is not my view. Like I'm not sitting on my lanai, which for those of you that don't know means like front porch. Because obviously I would be in shadow. It is bright out. This is a morning shot behind me. So it's exactly, and I have to say, this is pretty much exactly what it looks like today. It's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And it's one of those views that just never gets old. I mean, I could look at that forever. and why not start your life together with somebody who's going to be your life partner? Now, when we talk about international, what are some of the countries that you've hosted there in Hawaii to plan their wedding?
Gosh. So by the way, I feel like the list keeps growing. And let's see, I have done France, Germany, Holland. Let me think. France, Germany, Holland, um, Japan, Brazil, Canada, of course, Australia, of course, New Zealand, and a couple of other countries in Europe that I'm blanking on right now, but those are the main things. And of course, I'm happy to help anybody from anywhere in the world. I would say that we had a lot more international people coming before the pandemic, and then things sort of shifted. International travel for a while, as we all know, is not really a thing. The exchange rate is not great for people from other countries right now, and various other things that may keep some people away. But we are still here, and I am always glad to welcome people and help them out. And yeah, to me, it's like one of the most interesting things. I love to travel, and I love meeting people from different places. And I certainly feel like when anyone has a destination wedding, wherever you come from, my job is to make it easy for you. So yeah, that's my.
Do you feel a little bit, Becky, like people are not going to your home, but in a way, does it feel like they are? They're coming to your island. They're coming to your domain. You are hosting them and their wedding and party and everything. Does it sort of feel that way?
I do. It does. I mean, to me, I feel like, even when couples come from the US, a lot of them, it's their first time here. They've never been here before. I want to help them feel like they have someone here who cares about them. I'm here to take care of everything related to their wedding. So they know that, and they, not only that, but they also know they have someone they can contact if something goes awry. It's not just their wedding, but I am also here for them. I tend to be in touch with people shortly after their arrival, just to make sure they got here okay, let them know I'm here for any questions. Most of the time, I would say, 90% of the time, depending on the type of wedding they have, we meet ahead of time before their wedding on their beach. I think we talked about that last time a little bit.
Sure.
But I'd like them to feel like, I'm here and they have a resource, not only for their wedding, but also I'm just here in case they need some advice, or if something happens, they have somebody here who cares about them. So that feels really important to me.
I believe that things are changing to the way they used to be. This is not just what you do, but travel agents, right? We used to, booking everything online. It's so impersonal. Things happen, nobody to talk to, get the, situation rectified if you're lucky. So travel, what they used to be called agents, I think they're travel professionals now, it's kind of the title, but they're having a comeback because many of us are tired of that impersonal feel. And that's, I think, where you come in. You're not, as far as I understand, an official travel agent, but you can help and direct somebody if they're coming there. Let's say, hey, I'm coming with 15 people. Where do I stay? You can give suggestions. I'm coming with 50 people. Where do I go? You've done it. You've been there. You know where to go. Hey, you know what? Before we get married, we got 3 days before that date. Where do we go for dinner? We just want to go for a nice Polynesian dinner. Where do we go to? You'll know. You know,
Right.
you're not going to get that with anybody else.
Yeah, and I feel like that's really, to me, that feels really important because I feel like, um, talk about impersonal. I mean, there's a lot of, there are places here, I would say this is common anywhere, where you can just like book everything, even your wedding. You could just book it online, like you're booking a McDonald's, you're ordering your McDonald's meal.
Mhm.
But I feel like the type of people that come to me really like that personal touch. They want to feel like someone cares about them. I feel like there is a move back toward that. Also, I mean, it's interesting. I either have younger couples who are craving that, or I have a lot of, I don't want to call them older couples. I mean, I'm older. Some of them are like, "Oh, I'm so old." I'm like, "You're younger than I am. It's really okay." Um, but but I feel like, um, couples that, it's their second or third marriage, maybe they're doing this again, or it's their first time, they've waited a long time. They're used to a little bit more personal thing, and everything has moved away from that. So I feel like it's really nice to be able to say, yeah, I can help you take care, especially like I always, if they want it, I take care of their dinner reservation the night of their wedding. I help them set up, especially if it's a custom wedding, I'll help them create a, private dinner somewhere or something really special. But I have all sorts of restaurant recommendations, and like I have a guy that I use who helps with activities, if they really need them, who's free for them to use, and he's just a great person and really knowledgeable.
Mhm.
And my husband is great with just general like advice around the island. So yeah, I feel like it's something really special, and I feel like most people don't take the time to do that. And to me, that feels really important. I know I wish that I'd had that when my husband and I got married here on the Big Island.
Mhm.
We did have a friend who lived here who was our main source of information. But in terms of my wedding, I felt like I was just flying blind. And I try to make sure that people don't, that they feel cared for, I guess. Feels really
That's a
good.
great way to describe it, and I can totally relate. In another life, I got married on Kauai. Um, through a hotel. It was okay. I didn't have a big party with me. I had another couple. He was my best man, right? So it was just impersonal. I'm not saying it was bad, but it wasn't great. It was just kind of like robotic. Um, it wasn't a special area. It wasn't, and it is what it is. That's what you get when you book through a hotel. They have that little spot either on the beach or, a gazebo somewhere or something like that. We know it, but share with others if you could, Becky. What's special about Hawaii? Why do couples
Mm.
gravitate to go there?
I think there's something. Now, I grew up in upstate New York,
Hmm.
and I had always dreamed of Hawaii. And, it just feels very magical, right? Because
Mm.
especially if you come from a place without palm trees, it feels very magical. But even if you're from a place like Florida or somewhere else, Hawaii is its own thing. We're out in
Yeah,
the middle of the Pacific. We're very far away. And by the way, little caveat, people still forget this. This is still part of the US. You do not need a passport. There's nothing, people forget that it's very easy. If you live in the US, it's very easy to get here. And if you're coming from outside the country, well, it's the same as just coming to the US. It's not complicated in terms of that. But
Thanks for saying that because I just take it for granted that people know it's the U.S. It's not the mainland of the U.S., but yes, it
right.
is the U.S.
People forget all the time. They're like,
Yeah.
well, in America, I'm like, you are technically in America. But anyway, um, I totally lost track. What were we talking about, Steve?
The charm and
Oh,
what
of
makes it so
course.
special. Magical was a great word, by the way. I
Yeah,
think.
it is. It is this super magical type of experience. I mean, here, especially in Kona, you get off the plane and you're in the middle of a lava field. So it literally is black rock around you. You are
Mm,
in the lava. Um, And then you get off the plane and you feel like, you can feel the tropical air hit you. Although here on the dry side, Kona is the dry side of the island. It is not super, it's not extra humid. I mean, if you come from a desert climate, yes, it'll feel humid. But if you come from New York or any of the what I consider swampy summer areas, uh, the Midwest or like anywhere along the East Coast, this is not that humid. Trust me. It feels just luxurious, though. You get off, maybe there's a cool breeze. Well, a warm breeze. It's not a cool breeze. Um,
well, you know what?
and
When the wind's blowing a little bit, it probably feels cool to you.
yeah, it does. But it's like this, like you just feel caressed by everything, and it's just
Mm,
this super magical feeling. And here on this island, I think it's very special. It is the island of Hawaii. I feel like we have the most Hawaiians that actually live on the island here. And there is a lot of aloha here, which just, I mean, I always say this in my ceremony, it really does have hundreds of meanings, um, but there's a welcoming feeling that I think is pretty normal here. And it's
mm.
just really, it's it's unlike any place that maybe you've ever been. And now I feel spoiled. Also, the ocean is so beautiful. I feel like I see oceans in other parts of the world. I'm like, oh well, I don't know. I mean, not in the
You've
way
become an
that
ocean snob.
I have, and I almost feel sad about that.
Well,
But it's
you're
good.
blessed to know the difference, and there
Yeah,
is a difference coming from New York. I'm on Long Island, New York.
right.
We'll just leave it at that in terms of the water.
Yeah.
Uh, it's good for a week out of the summer. Let's talk about the misconceptions about Hawaii. First one I want to address, and you mentioned it before we got on here, volcano. So, like,
Yeah.
if you read in the news or whatever, hey, there's a volcano active, don't be alarmed. Please explain.
Yeah. So uh basically the volcano, especially right now, it's very active down in Kilauea, which is where the main active caldera is. It's at the moment, especially, even though they say it's the largest eruption since 1952, I believe
Hmm.
someone said,
Wow.
it is different from the one in 2018. In 2018, it's a shield volcano, which means it's not like a cone, it's a shield where it cracks open at various places. And usually, like right now, it's contained to the main caldera. So there's these two huge plumes, not every day, but most days, and it's very spectacular. But it is like, at least from Kona, that's like 2 hours away. Um, and it doesn't mean it's like seeping down and coming down to cover anything. It's really contained in a viewing area. In 2018, it was cracking all along the shelf in random locations, and that actually it paved over this whole area of homes and these cool tide pools, but it created more land actually,
Hmm.
and it created something else really cool. Um, but in general, the way the lava moves here tends to be very slow. Like it's not anything like you don't have warning. Even back, was it in 2022? 2022, 2023, I can't remember now. I think it was 2022. We had Mauna Loa erupted for the first time in like I don't know how long. And that was coming down, oozing down the side of the mountain, but it still wasn't that alarming because it wasn't super fast. It was like oozing down, and luckily it was oozing down the side that had no houses. Like it was just in the open area, and we were all
Yeah.
able to go. It was really cool. You could just like drive on the saddle road and you could go see it, and it was so cool. So
Wow.
these are the things you need to be really afraid of. The mountain that I live on, Hualalai, has been inactive since the late 1800s. Um, and I always, I'm kind of the thought, well, if it happens, if it happens, oh well. I mean, something really catastrophic happens, well, that was your time. So I never tend to worry about it, but in general, it's nothing to worry about, I
Same thing
guess.
getting on a plane. And I don't
Yeah,
minimize anybody's fear of flying, but I feel the same exact way. That was meant to be. How
yeah,
often, with all the planes flying every day, But what I detect from you with any of the eruptions since you've been on the island, from the beginning, you've never been concerned about your safety.
No, no.
Yeah.
And by the way, from the beginning, I moved here in 2013 with my husband.
Hmm.
Um, but it's been now almost 12 years, and I've never been concerned
Yeah.
about the worst thing that happens with a volcano is that the air can be kind of, we call it VOG, volcanic fog. Um, it's it can look like it's cloudy or hazy or something, but it really depends on how active the volcano is and which way the wind is blowing.
Sure.
So, like today, I mean, the volcano is really erupting a lot, but it is clear as day.
Wow.
Uh, and typically, the further north you go, so I live north of the main part of town, but still in Kailua Kona, and again, the airport's right below. Tends to be as you move north, it tends to be clearer and clearer, and that's typically where we do our weddings anyway, is up around that area. So
And
it's
when you talk about the VOG, it's never like somebody has a white dress on and has to worry about, soot, ash, and things
oh
like that
no,
on their dress. Yeah. I
no,
just I
it just looks like
I
it's
got
cloudy.
it. I just want people
Yeah,
to know.
yeah.
So international weddings, language challenges. Any challenge there?
I think people get worried sometimes, but if someone tells me they're from um, France, Germany, Spain, or Mexico or wherever, um, or Japan. So I used to teach English in Japan long ago and far away,
Wow.
and everybody there does speak or at least can write English pretty well. Um, and most people that do communicate come to me from Japan. It's pretty rare. Oahu is the big Japanese island where most of the Japanese go, but when they do, they generally speak English fine. Ironically, I do have my ceremony translated into Japanese. My roommate, long ago and far away from New York City, is a professional translator. She's Japanese, and she did it for me a while ago, which was really nice. So I have that. But in the other countries, what I tend to do, especially if I sense that they're struggling a little bit with their English in the email, um, you know, I can I use Google Translate. Like I write it in English, I translate it. I can read most of the time. I can read it to make sure, except for German. I don't know, but the Spanish and the French, I can read it enough to know. Okay, is this correct or not, or does this word need to be changed? And then I send both the English and the one in their own language, so they can at least get the gist of what I'm trying to say. Um, and I feel like I have done weddings for people that almost speak no English, and we have gotten along beautifully. Um, I don't really ever have to worry about my Brazilians. Their English tends to be very good for the folks that I've ever done. But I would say that I think my French folks struggle the most, which is totally okay. I have a lot of my international couples that I'm still in touch with today. Um, and it's really nice. They send me pictures of their children. And
Mm.
I, I did a vow renewal recently for a couple I married in 2019 and last year, 5-year vow renewal for them. And they brought their daughter who was conceived on their trip, on their wedding
Oh,
trip.
wow.
So it was really cool. Yeah.
So when it comes to the actual vows, do you do them in other languages? Can you do them in other languages?
So I typically do them in English, but I always leave room for people if they want to do their vows, they can if they want to write their own, they can do them in whatever language they wish. Um, I always say to any of my couples, these are your vows. You may repeat after me if you wish, but if you'd like to write your own, that's fine because they're your vows. And I would say most of the time, my folks from other countries prefer to say them in their own language, which I love and I think is really important. Um, I do also have the ceremony translated sometime, I think in French and maybe in Spanish for that I can hand to any guests so they can read and kind of know what's happening. Um, it's not the best translation; those are not professionally translated, mind you, but it's like
Sure.
give people a gist of what's going on. Um, but I think it's the feeling too, like they can feel what's happening. They generally know what's happening. I go over it with them. And I don't think people care that much. They want to feel what they're feeling and be there, and I want them to feel as comfortable as possible. So
I'll bet you too that they're there to feel the authenticity of the island. And yes, there are other languages on that island, but again, it is the United States, i.e., English. But if you wanted your ceremony done in your native language, I'm sure you could find somebody that could do that.
maybe.
Hmm.
I will say that that is a possibility, Steve. Although we are limited here more than other places in the world. We have visitors and we have people, but I'm not 100% sure that we could. But what I could say is that I always talk to my couples and say, "What's the most important thing to you? Like, what does this matter to you?" And then I can always say, if they say we really wanted an X, I'll say, "I'll see if I can find somebody for you." Um, I would say that this is, although we have people from all over the world that stay here or live here, I don't, I'm not 100% sure that we could find someone who
Hmm.
does, which is
Oh,
interesting. Yeah.
anything's possible, but again,
Yes.
right
I always
right
want,
back to yeah.
yeah, and I'm always open to exploring how I can make it the most comfortable, but I would say that most people prefer to have it, they're okay with having most of the ceremony in English. Um, because it almost adds to the excitement of being here, I
Right.
guess.
Right.
Um, but I always want to make sure that their vows are in their own language if that's what they prefer. Um,
Well, they're there for that reason because of the culture of the island. So that speaks volumes right there. It's like somebody going to Japan and saying, "Yeah, I want everything Americanized. That's where I want my wedding to be." Well, why'd
yeah,
you go there? Why did
right.
you have that wedding there? How, what do you think are some of the other myths that people have about going to Hawaii, just in general, but also just having their wedding there?
I feel like the biggest mistake or the biggest thing that people forget is that you can't just buy things like you're like, oh, well, I can just get that there. No, no, you can't. Like if the store
Hmm.
is out, the store is out for 3 weeks for certain items. Like people,
Wow.
um, I mean, it depends. Like sometimes it's all good, and then other times it's like, oh, we can't. Everything is much slower. Even Amazon takes like 2 weeks. It's like the rare time where you get a package in 3 days. You're like, oh my God, it was so fast. Things
Hmm.
are just slower here. And it's not that Amazon, by the way, couldn't get it here, but it sits in the warehouse, sits in the warehouse, sits in the warehouse for like 2 weeks, and then they send it like, and you get it the next day. It's confounding, but whatever.
I've heard that of islands in the Caribbean, everywhere.
Yep.
My friend is Dominican Republic right now. He's a digital nomad, sold his house, and he just travels, goes wherever. And he's in the DR, stayed for a month, loved it so much. Now he's staying another month, maybe two, maybe more. And he said the same exact thing. Yeah, they
Yeah.
get it here, but then it sits in the warehouse, and it's the local infrastructure that is to blame, if you will, for the slow. They're in no rush. They'll get it to you when they get it to you.
Yeah, and I mean, and even at main stores, like if you're trying to get something, we don't have the variety that you have on the
Hmm.
mainland or in other places, and you can't just, some things you can pick up, but that's what I always tell my couples, like if they're looking to DIY certain things, I will let them know, like, no, there is no fabric store here. Like the only fabric place well, there's one in Hilo, but it's a long drive from Kona. And like we have some fabric. There's fabric at Walmart. That's where you can get your fabric on this side of the island, and they may or may not have what you need. It's that kind of thing. Like we just don't have all the supplies. And the other thing that I would say is that if you're coming here, like I encourage people to use local flowers. We have so many beautiful flowers. You don't
Hmm.
want, maybe I can't remember if we talked about this last time or not, but I encourage people to use as many local items as you can because that is why you're coming here.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Hmm. You know what I love about what you just said?
What?
Everything.
Oh,
Everything. Even right down to you don't plan on finding exactly what you need when you need it. We're so, I mean, again, I'm in New York. I order it at 10 a.m. It's here by 5 p.m. at the latest, typically, probably 3 p.m. And that's great. That's one. Do you really need that? I want the laid back, chill life. I'll wait 2 weeks. You plan for it. You're traveling there, plan around it, but that's why you are there. to
Yeah.
advise somebody, here's what we got. Just letting you know, you might want to, if somebody's got this, brainchild of an idea, say it's party favors. That we'll make them when we get there. We have like 2 weeks or whatever, but no, that's just to be aware of.
Yeah.
Just a little piece of what you offer. But again, anybody, anywhere can go there and you can help them out. How do we find you?
Well, the best place is to go to my website. I do have, of course, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Simple Kona Beach Weddings with an S. But my website is www.simplecona, and Kona with a K, by the way, Kona, beach weddings with an S.com. So simplekonabeachweddings.com is the best way to get in touch with me through the contact form. And then, I always will send you an email and then we set up a time to talk via Zoom so that I can really hear about you and see whether we're a good fit and how I can best make your day amazing. So
Fabulous. I think about you often when I'm having a Kona beer because
oh,
that's actually kind of
yeah,
big here. Usually, any restaurant you go to, at least in this area, it's on
yeah.
tap, and it's really
Wow.
good. It's really
Yeah,
good.
that's awesome.
Wonderful talking with you today, Becky, and thanks for all the insight. And next time we get together, maybe we'll do wedding trends. You never know.
Yeah, there's so many things to talk about, Steve. So yay, thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.